Well, here we are. After I had gotten the game a little while ago, we've finally been brought to this part. I have played this game pretty much right up until the last couple of areas being completed. So, the wait is over. Here we go, let's dive right into Ghost Recon Wildlands review. Alright, so I'm going to start off this review by giving you guys a little bit of a story synopsis. So the big bad guy of the game, his name is El Sueño, and he claims that he was told by God in a dream to rule Bolivia as a narco-state. He said that he is like Moses and that he led his people to a new land where they can build up and build their people, up as a narco-state. And they make tons and tons of cocaine. Alright, now the first thing you need to know about this game is there are 4 factions in the game. There's Operation Kingslayer, and the game description reads, a U.S. Spec Ops unit working with CIA case officer Karen Bowman to destabilize Santa Blanca. So, this is you as the player, your AI companions, and or any of your friends that you are going to have along in your game. Next are the rebel forces, and their game description is Bolivian rebels led by Pat Katari working with the CIA. So they're your allies in this entire game. This is who you're supporting, and these guys are also who gets all the credit for your work at the end of the game. At least I'm guessing. I haven't beaten the game yet, like I said. Next is the Santa Blanca cartel themselves, and they're basically the cartel ruling a part of Bolivia as a narco state, and they produce a lot of fucking cocaine. Then the last group is the Unidad. They're part of the Bolivian army, and they maintain order. They tolerate the cartel unless they fight with other people. That's when the Unidad get involved and they actually attack Santa Blanca cartels. Now in the game, when this happens, you'll get a message up on your screen saying that the 2 factions are attacking each other, whether that be Unidad and the rebels in Santa Blanca, or Santa Blanca and Unidad. The reason why it pops up on your screen is that if you decide that you want to help the rebels or any side out, or if you see the Unidad and Santa Blanca fighting, you can sprint in there and then just make it a giant clusterfuck, whatever the game lets you know. Alright, so now I'm going to drift into the portion of the review where we talk about the pros and cons of the game, why you might want to buy it, why you shouldn't buy it, so on and so forth. So for the pros, we have... This game is a lot like if Arma was on console. Now, I said this before the game came out, and I'm saying it now, and this is kind of a sort of, take this with a grain of salt, it's not exactly like 100% Arma 3 gets ported to console, but it's pretty damn close. The amount of tactical skill and prowess that you need to have to actually work very well with a team in this game, by the team I don't mean the AI, I mean with actual other players, is kind of ridiculous. If you and a team can be tactical and get shit done in a very tactical and realistic way, it's a lot of fun. Second one I have is it has really good gameplay. The gameplay of this game definitely outweighs the story. One of the cons is that the story isn't that great. You'll find yourself probably skipping more of the cutscenes than watching them because you just want to get to that next base and infiltrate it and do it, the way you want to do it. But the stealth in the game, back to pro, the stealth in the game is very easy. Like, very, very easy. Like, you have a detection meter and everything. So, you'll know if you're gonna get spotted or not. There are also 3 or 4 statuses, I guess, if you want to say. There's your normal, just overworld, not detected at all, and that's just, normal. That's basically what you're going to be in most of the game. Then there's suspected. That means the enemy suspects that something weird's going on, but they don't know it's necessarily you, and at this point, all weapons are still a one-hit kill. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Then there is hunted, which means the enemy, it's pretty self-explanatory, that means the enemy knows that you're where you are and that you're here, and they're hunting you down, and then engaged means you are in active gunfight. Another pro is that all of the weapons in this game are recognizable and pretty easy to get. You know, they have really recognizable weapons like the AK-12, the M4A1, the Bren 208, which you'll recognize from Ghosts. If you've played Call of Duty Ghosts, they have the assault rifle that Thermite uses in Rainbow Six Siege. They have a lot of different guns in this game. They have AUG, they have TAR-21. And they're easy to get. All you have to do is go to an area and interrogate a couple people or find a couple intel caches, and then they appear on your map. They just pop up as blips, and then you can go get them really fucking easily. Alright, and then another pro about this game is that since this is made by the same developers as The Division, a lot of people draw a lot of comparisons between the two. And I'm going to try to do that, like, as least amount. Like, I'm going to try my best not to compare them at all. But this is one point that I want to make. In The Division, I personally never felt like any kind of soldier. I just felt like some civilian with a gun freedom fighter that didn't know what he was doing. In this game, you actually feel like a special operations soldier carrying out Operation Kingslayer. It is ridiculous how just dialogue and character structure and even like the customization options of your character can make you feel the difference between a Navy SEAL and a special operation and just some random guy running around in a city with a gun. And speaking of, the customization options in this game are pretty good. Like, for what is there, you can do a lot to it. Now, a con to this, though, is that there isn't a lot of customization. Like, there is a lot of customization, but there's not a lot of customization options. Meaning you only have these 2 or 3 helmets. You only have these 2 or 3 shirts, you know? But when you actually select them, and then you go to customize the camos and stuff on them, the selection is pretty good. And honestly, like this, like, you can create all kinds of different outfits. You can roleplay as characters from other series like Call of Duty. You can do a lot with the customization. Even though there's not a lot of camos and there are a lot of restrictions on certain things getting what camos and colors, there is a lot of customization, and the customization is definitely something that you need to check out. Another pro is that the upgrading system does have a bit of a learning curve, but it's balanced. It gives you a face value of this is how many skill points you have, this is how much oil you have, this is how much, you know, communications you have. This is your set number of things. You go to the upgrade and you find out what you need for it, and the game will even have a flashing annotation telling you if it's an available customization. It's great. So if you get confused by all the numbers and all the different symbols and everything, no problem. If you have an upgrade available, the game will tell you exactly what is available. And then calling back to the alert statuses, every gun is one shot in the stealth mode. So you could be using an assault rifle against the most armored enemy in the game, and as long as he is not, and as long as you are not hunted or engaged, he will be a one-shot kill. Even if you miss your first shot, you can reacquire the target and hit him with one-shot kill accuracy. And then last, but most certainly not least, is the map is fucking huge in this game. This game's map is ridiculously large, and I can't quite explain how large accurately, but it does feel like you are running around an entire state of Bolivia. It is ridiculous. Alright, and now on to the cons. Everything from movies to TV shows to video games, everything has cons or things bad about it. Some have more, some have less. This game has less cons and more pros, in my opinion, and of course this review is entirely opinionated towards me. But first con I'm going to bring up is that yes, it's a Ubisoft game, or Ubisoft, however you say it. It is developed by a developer that has a notorious streak for being really terrible at games, but this most certainly is not one of them. Alright, so just saying, if you have something personally against Ubisoft, don't buy the game, whatever, it's fine. Just letting you know that yes, it is a Ubisoft game if you didn't know that already. So that could be, to some people, a con. It is to me, although this game is really good. Next con is that even though the weapons are really easy to get and the stuff does pop up on the map, you have to interrogate 2 lieutenants or get 2 intel caches before you can see them, which just kind of adds to the amount of time it takes to get this one certain gun or this one certain attachment that you really, really want. Next thing is the AI are practically useless. The AI, and I'm not talking about the enemies, I'm talking about the friendlies here, are very slow. They don't necessarily do exactly what you would want them to do, and they don't copy you. So if you lay down and set a marker for them to go to, and you expect them to crawl all the way there, they will not. They will stand up and run there. It is terrible. They are not good for stealth at all, but they are good for 2 things: synchronized shots and assaulting bases. Synchronized shots are ridiculously OP in this game sometimes because they can shoot people through solid objects with a sync shot. Other times you may get spotted and you need just guys to throw at them to distract the enemy. These guys, you hit the fire command and they will go ape shit on the enemy, so they're really good for that. Now, another con is, obviously I have not faced El Sueño in the game yet, because I have not beaten it, like I said, and this is a spoiler-free review, at least I'm pretty sure so far it has been. All of the bosses for all of each individual areas are all pretty much exactly the same. In every area of the game, there is excluding like 1 or 2, there are like heads of this cartel. And in this game does do a really good job of making you feel like you are taking down this giant organization, but each and every time you take down a boss, it's pretty much like they put them on the map as a normal enemy, just with a special weapon. And it can get really annoying, because you may approach a boss and think, oh wow, this is going to be so cool, I get to face this person, I've been hunting them for a couple hours now, let's see what happens. You get to their location, and you just have to either shoot them or capture them. It's pretty repetitive sometimes, but overall it gets you 1 step closer to El Sueño, so, I mean, I guess it's worth it. And the final con that I have for this game is there aren't a lot of Easter eggs. There are Easter eggs, but the Easter eggs that are in the game are really bland and kind of stupid. Like, there's a Dark Souls bonfire in the game, but of course, you know, every fucking Ubisoft game has one of those in it that's open world. They also have these weird buttons that do different things when you press them out in the wilderness that I don't 100% understand why they're there. So the game lacks a lot of Easter eggs, but what it lacks in Easter eggs, I guess it makes up for in gameplay and just overall, like, quality of the gameplay itself. Alright, so the last thing that I'm going to talk about before I get on to little side notes that I have of the game and my opinion on what you should pay for the game, you know, whether or not you should wait to look out for it on sale or pay the full $60 for it, are the kind ofs, or the kind of pro, kind of cons, or the personal outlook points of the game. There's 2 of them. One of them is the game overall is kind of simple and easy. Like, the concepts behind it and the actual physical gameplay is pretty easy. It's just how you do certain things. Now, this could be seen as a pro or a con, depending on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a really difficult, intense tactical shooter, this might not be the game for you. However, if you're looking for a kind of easy single-player game or maybe co-op game that has its difficult moments, this is definitely a game for you. I am more of an easy gamer. I like when games are a little easier but have their intense moments, like Battlefield or games like Call of Duty. And this game definitely has a lot of slow moments, and the gameplay is relatively easy. The buttons aren't that hard or complex at all. And the second one is that the drone is fucking OP. Let's just take a minute to appreciate how fast I can mark shit with this little drone montage that I've whipped up. Now, depending on how you look at the drone, it's actually kind of up for debate whether if you actually think it's OP or not. I think it's a little OP because it all depends on how fast you want your enemies to be seen. I, for one, think it's a little OP when you upgrade it all the way. At the very start, it's not that OP. But once you actually start getting the upgrades, and I don't have all the upgrades, but I'm going to have all the upgrades in a couple of, like, hours into the game more, and I can already see that it's going to be ridiculously OP. Alright, so now we're at the final part of the video. Part of the video where I make any additional points, and I also tell you guys how much I think you should pay for the game overall. So, last few points I have is that in this game there are different enemy types. There's the normal grunts, you know, the normal, I guess, people. Then there's heavy guys and snipers. I mean, heavies, they have a little bit more armor and they tend to carry LMGs, so they're a little bit harder to kill. And snipers are pretty self-explanatory. They sit up in towers, usually have some sort of maybe ghillie suit on, especially when it comes to the Unidad, and they have sniper rifles. Now, the last note that I have is the driving in this game is good. It feels good. It feels fluid. It's not like GTA 5 driving, but it's not as bad as some driving that I've seen in, like, the Saints Row franchise, for an example. So, overall, Ben, what is the total cost that I think you should be paying for this game? I think the total cost of this game is probably somewhere between $40 to $50. Is it worth a full $60? No. If you found it on sale for $40, $35, maybe even $30, I highly suggest picking this game up. It is definitely worth a good few hours of tactical fun. I would look for it in an actual store on disc format, if you can, because there are a lot of places like GameStop and other places that will have it at a discounted price than $60 a lot earlier than the digital PlayStation store or Xbox store will have it at, you know, they'll have it at $60, whereas if you go buy a disc at another store, it could be at a reduced price. So anyway, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up. That has been my review of Ghost Recon Wildlands. Tell me in the comments if you think I'm right, and tell me in the comments if you think I'm wrong and a fucking cunt. And I will see you all in the next activity. Bye-bye.
It's terrifying.